Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Now, the UN has condemned the airstrikes on a school in Syria, which killed at least 26 people, mostly children. It's not yet known if they were carried out by Syrian government or Russian warplanes. The raids hit several locations in the northwestern Syrian province of Idlib. In the village of Has, 50 miles to the southwest of Aleppo, Syrian state media claimed several terrorists, as they called them, had been killed. The Russian ambassador to the UN said he hoped Russia was not involved. Our chief correspondent Alex Thompson reports.
Locals caught the fighter bomber as it made its approach over the village. Two schools hit by multiple airstrikes in Has, a village in Idlib countryside, rebel-held territory, just before noon yesterday. The children were just leaving the building when it happened.
The shame of it. Children, civilians, what do they do? They're too young, and they've been bombed by jets. It's criminal. This is the blood of children.
Within the rubble of the school, what we're able to show at this time of the evening. He simply screams, "Oh God, may God take revenge. We have no one but you." Eyewitnesses, international monitors, human rights organizations, local journalists all say either the Syrian or Russian Air Force did this.
The bombing occurred when children were leaving the school. At least 15 to 20 hits, all with parachutes. 50 children at least were at the school gate. The missile hit the heart of the school.
The use of parachute bombs to cause a maximum blast damage is a consistent tactic of the Russian Air Force across northern Syria. The UN tonight, angry as it is impotent. The unusually strong language of its statement today worth quoting in detail.
This is a tragedy. It is an outrage, and if deliberate, it is a war crime. This latest atrocity may be the deadliest attack on a school since the war began more than 5 years ago. When will the world's revulsion at such barbarity be matched by insistence that this must stop?
Unusually frank language too from Russia's UN ambassador.
It's horrible. I hope we were not involved. It's the easiest thing for me to say no, but I'm a responsible person, so I need to see what my Ministry of Defense is going to say.
But we have to stress all sides in this war are committing atrocities. Today, rebels killed at least 3 children, according to several sources, when they fired rockets at a school in government-controlled West Aleppo. And all the while, Russia's naval battle group is steaming nearer to Syrian waters. Deprived of refueling on Spanish territory, now Malta is under pressure to refuse them as the ships head east. Today, the Russian Foreign Ministry said any suggestion that the battle group would take part in the Syrian war was absurd. If so, why else send a battle group to Syria?
Alex Thompson reporting. Well, earlier I spoke to Geert Capellari. He is the Middle East director of the United Nations Children's Agency based in Jordan. I put it to him, this must be one of the worst and most grotesque humanitarian disasters of the war.
It absolutely is, John. Yesterday we saw another atrocious attack killing at least 22 children whose only mistake was to be in school, whose only mistake it was to be committed, to be learning. Unfortunately, John, this is not a unique event for the children in Syria. Since the beginning of the war in 2011, you should know that over 6,000 schools have been damaged. The result of that is that today more than 1 1.7 million children in Syria are out of school.
Mr. Capillari, you work for the United Nations in a very important role. But above you, there is a United Nations General Assembly, and there is, of course, the Security Council. This surely is a failure of the United Nations not somehow to force these people together, because you've called this a war crime. It's one of many. Surely the moment has come now for effectively the Security Council to go into permanent session until they resolve this.
If indeed these attacks on the schools are deliberate, this indeed would amount to war crimes. Indeed, it is up to the political authorities, any political authority, including the Syrian government, of course, but also the armed opposition groups, and any political authority, any state that cares for the people of Syria, that cares for the children of Syria, to make the political decisions that are needed to stop these atrocities. How are we going to build a new Syria if we deprive Syria of probably its biggest potential, a potential that lies in the minds of the boys and girls out there?
Well, Mr. Capillari, we don't know exactly who committed this terrible atrocity, but the big point here, surely, is this is not just a question of Syrian rebels or indeed of the Syrian government, both of whom have done dreadful things. It's a business of the big powers, America, the United States, Russia, the United Kingdom. Surely the only place to resolve this now is in the Security Council.
I absolutely agree with you, John. It is the responsibility of all of us, and the children in Syria today can continue counting on the voice of UNICEF. We will, until all of this stops, be the voice of the children, the voice of the boys and girls in Syria.
In effect, you're saying this is the turning point, the end point. These children must be remembered for bringing this war to an end.
This has to be the end point. Too many children have already suffered in Syria. This needs to stop. Anyone with a little bit of moral authority should make that decision now.
Well, from UNICEF, thank you very much indeed, Mr. Capillari. Thank you.
Thank you so much, John.